So I'm eating, and look at this figure right here. Every increase in that number is pulse. Trying to get a good view here. So my camera broke, so it's hard to get there. Now look at this number right here. So I'm going to take off the light. See if you get less glare. No. Okay. So let's do it this way. So I get burned on the back as I eat. Just got a scan. That's a 14. So every pulse up and down are small scans on the body. See the RF reading is high and the EF reading is low. So I'm going to listen to the news on CTV.
Stay on the safe side with blind spot warning. Technology that connects us. That's the redesigned 2020 Nissan Qashqai.
Why can't paying bills pay you back?
What?
We think paying bills should feel less like this and more like this. So we gave 1,000 PC Optimum points per bill payment. Feels good, right? The PC Money Account, a whole new way to think about money.
For my friends and I, being able to live independently is important. That's why I recommend TELUS Living Well Companion. It's a new 24/7 personal emergency response service with options for GPS coverage and automatic
Just got a
fall
huge
detection.
scan on the chest.
Plans start from $25 a month with no long-term contract or equipment fees. That's less than $1 a day for greater peace of mind. TELUS Living Well Companion is there when I need it most.
Tonight, COVID crowd control, the rollback on big private gatherings to curb the risk of new outbreaks. Get-togethers cut down to size.
We will throw the book at you if you break the rules.
With guests and hosts on the hook. A tough lesson as infections infiltrate more Canadian schools.
We had bigger outbreaks with 15 cases.
As BC unveils a gargle test
About a scam?
for kids.
And it is one of the first of its kind around the world.
Plus, the Made in Canada invention that's making a lot of noise.
It's very humbling that we can be contacted by all these famous leagues.
The whistle, reinvented with a pandemic at play.
CTV National News with Lisa LaFlamme.
Good evening. A pandemic side effect Canadians hoped was behind them is back. Starting tomorrow, parts of Ontario where the cases are climbing will once again be under strict rules around how many people can gather in specific places. Schools are not included, but across this country, it is one of the places where outbreaks are increasing. Today, there were 877 new cases. Quebec added 248 backlog cases for a total of 499, and British Columbia marked a record daily high of 165. CTV's Heather Wright on the targeted slide back and the stiffer fines.
New cases in Ontario have tripled since mid-August, and the province is now clamping down on gatherings in the hotspots of Toronto, Peel, and Ottawa.
This includes social events and gatherings, like private parties in your backyard.
Starting tomorrow, indoor gatherings
Just
will
got a
be
scan.
limited to 10, outdoor to 25.
That's
Fines
4.4
for
right there.
hosts will start at $10,000 and go up to $100,000 in possible jail time. Guests will face a $750 fine.
Traced back to one gathering.
Across the country, private parties have turned into super spreader events. Most recently, 21 people got COVID after attending a house party in Saskatoon. The tighter measures in Ontario only apply to private events, not to those held in staffed facilities like restaurants and bars.
It is of concern that some of these large gatherings, in particular weddings, remain not subject to some of these stiffer regulations.
Opposition critics were quick to slam the new limits, calling them a contradiction.
Why is it okay to have 70 kids on a bus and 30 kids in a classroom when he's saying that it's unsafe to have 10 people in an indoor space?
And the crackdown will not apply to university cities where students have been criticized for throwing large parties. 28 students at Western University in London have tested positive for the virus, including one in residence, forcing the school to move everything back online.
If this continues, you are going to kill someone.
At Queen's University in Kingston, the dean says students could face possible expulsion if they violate public health rules. But enforcing these rules can be a challenge. Quebec is mulling whether to allow police to fast-track warrants in order to enter homes and break up house parties.
If somebody is doing a big party with 50 people, which may have an impact on the public safety of the population, I think we have to at least look at what we can do for that.
Ontario's premier says bars, restaurants, schools are all exempted from the new limits because they're considered controlled settings where masks and physical distancing are required. Lisa.
All right. Heather Wright on Yonge Street tonight. Thank you, Heather. Of course, one especially hard to control environment is a classroom and the kids in it. So today, a new tool made in BC arrived that replaces the nasal swab, and it's aimed squarely at screening kindergarten to grade 12 kids.
It is one of the first of its kind around the world. For school-age children in BC, so those aged 4 to 19, this is a new saline gargle where you put a little bit of normal saline, so that sterile water in your mouth, you swish it around a little bit and you spit it into a little tube.
Keeping COVID-19 out of classrooms altogether is not so simple. CTV's Vanessa Lee on the outlook and the outbreaks.
Things are unusually quiet at this Montreal private high school, now shut down after 15 confirmed cases, including 8 students in a single classroom.
I'm hoping that this will be a little scare for some people who forgot that COVID exists.
Elsewhere in the province hardest hit by the pandemic, schools remain open despite outbreaks. As many as 7 infections here in Quebec City, prompting the first mobile testing clinic to be deployed to a school. A massive screening operation to swab more than 300 staff and students. There are no plans to close, a scenario that causes more stress for teachers.
Sometimes they just